Hi everyone, it's me, Miss Farrah Mills. Welcome back to my channel. So today's video, the topic I want to talk about was an idea that a good friend of mine, Ethan, gave me to talk about what I would say to myself if I was younger. Now he suggested that I said, what would I say to my 21-year-old self? But I think I think it would work better if I spoke to my 15-year-old self, because by the time I was 21, I was kind of sure of what was happening, what I was doing. But at 15, oh my god. So, so let's start. So I think if I remember back to being 15, God, what year was it? It must have been 1994, 95, something like that, a long time ago. So, and it was probably the worst period of my life, probably the worst part of the end of the period of me feeling unsure of who I was and hating having to go through puberty as a boy and all of that kind of stuff. And I think the most important thing I would probably have said to myself at the time was, don't worry about what's happening now. Don't worry about the fact that you don't like being at school, you're struggling with how you feel about who you are. You're very awkward, you're very shy, you're always stooping down your head because you're at 6 foot, you're trying to hide yourself from the world and just trying to avoid eye contact with anybody in case they know your secret. Because obviously when you're younger and you feel like everything that you're feeling everyone can see plastered across your forehead, you feel like your truth is like oozing out of you and that it's obvious to other people that they can see it. That's kind of how it felt for me. And I kind of felt that everyone knew how I was feeling and that they could read my mind. And I think they were just picking up on my vibes that I was putting out and being very fragile. And the thing with me is, in a weird way, that I wasn't a pushover. You know, I never got bullied. People used to try and bully me, but the thing with me is that I would never tolerate it. And I always said, look, anytime or every time you try and bully me or make me feel inferior, I will tell on you. And you'll get in trouble and you'll get detention, blah, 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 blah. So I think that that kind of made people just think, oh, just leave her, there's no point with her because she's not taking the bait, as it were. So, and because I could sing as well at school, so that kind of made me someone that was left alone, because people used to think that it was cool that I could sing. So it kind of left me aside from being bullied and stuff. But also partly because I just wouldn't stand for it. I don't know where that came from. I think it's just part of being a tourist and excuse me, being a tourist and just being, you know, not standing for anything, you know, because tourist people are sort of known, you know, it's the bulls, so, you know, we're quite headstrong in that way. But I do remember, I would say even at 15, that even though I knew I was feminine and I knew that I liked everything female, and I still didn't really know that I was supposed to be, well, okay, this is going to sound weird, but it's hard to explain. When I was younger, there wasn't anything to tell me who I really was. So even though I felt that I knew that I was female, I didn't really know that that's what it was, because there was nothing telling me that, or there was no one else around me who could confirm those feelings for me. So I just thought that it was something that was just in my head and that I should just keep in my head. And so because of having to keep those kind of secrets, they build up in you and it builds up resentment, anger, mostly towards yourself, but it does seep out into your relationships with other people because you're not happy. And so I started to go off the rails a bit, and, you know, going out late and not coming back in, started drinking when I shouldn't have been drinking, smoking, all that kind of stuff. I think it was my cry for help of trying to say, look, there's something wrong and I don't really know what it is, but I can't talk to you about it because I'd rather die than talk to you about it. I was very lucky that having incredibly supportive parents and family, my brothers and sisters, everyone was so supportive, but I was still a teenager, so even though everyone's being supportive and they're coming to terms with it as you are, you're still being very selfish anyway and assuming that everything revolves around you. So, you know, it was tough for them to help me, because it wasn't so much about it being tough about them helping me transition, it was just the fact that I was a teenager anyway, and teenagers are incredibly difficult to be around or help, as if you've been a teenager, you will know. So I think I would just say to myself, you know, I know it's difficult, I know it's hard, but just stay calm, because your life is not going to stay this way, and, you know, this is just one period in your life that you're not happy, and trust me, once you get through this period, you will forget most of the bad memories that you had, because it's to me, memories of transition when you're younger is kind of a bit like something that was painful that happened to you, you know, like a physical pain that you had, that once it's over and you've healed it, you kind of forget how it feels. I know this because I've had situations where people have asked me how I got through certain things, and even though I remember getting through it, I don't remember how painful it was, because once you achieve that goal, or you get through that challenge, as it were, it kind of heals, and your memory of that period is much nicer than it probably actually really was. And I can honestly say that when I look back and when people say to me it must have been very difficult to transition, I sort of say, yeah, it was, because I remember that it was, but I don't remember how painful it felt. And so that was what I would say to my younger self, is that although it feels very horrible at the moment and it's difficult, you won't remember the pain that you are feeling now. You will just remember that it's something that you got through, and it will make you a stronger person. So I think that is the biggest thing that I would say to myself when I was younger, is that don't worry, just get through this situation, you will be fine. You will remember it, but you won't remember how it felt, and it will make you a stronger person. I think that is the biggest message that I would say, and it's the biggest message that I would say to any of you who are starting out your transition, or even if you're in a rut with your transition. This moment will not last forever, and you will get through it, and things will get better. So just remember that. That's what I wanted to say today. I hope that helps some people in some way. If you want to subscribe to my channel, click here. If you want to check out one of my other videos, click here. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Speak to you all soon. Lots of love.